Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Horror 421, the podcast, with your host, your friendly small-town horror author, Charles Campbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the frights in this week's episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Horror 421, the podcast. I'm your host, small town horror author Charles Campbell, and today I have a very special guest. Kind of saw him on Instagram and the social media outlets promoting a brand new movie that stars LaVera and Bill Moseley. It's the writer and director of The Fetus. So, welcome to the show, Joe Lamb. I'm over the moon to have you on today.
Charles, thank you for having me on your show. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I've seen the movie twice, and I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But before we get into the film, I would like for you to introduce yourself to my listening audience. Give us a little background on yourself, and then we'll get into a little Q&A about the film.
Well, about myself, I am an entrepreneur, but I'm a filmmaker at heart. It's always been a dream of mine since I was 16 to make movies. And so I cut my teeth making 12 short films over the years until I felt I was ready enough and I was good enough to tackle a feature, because I never wanted to just go make a movie for the sake of making a movie. I wanted to make sure I knew storytelling in a way that I could just guide an audience from beginning to end in a roller coaster ride of a story.
Well, this story is a very interesting story, and it caught my attention immediately when I saw some of the social media posts, and the title is simple. It's just called The Fetus, and I do want to get a little more into your background and some of your influences coming up. But what made you think of that title for this particular story? And as a writer, I'm really interested to pick your brain on how this came together when you sat down in front of a keyboard and actually typed the dialogue and created this world for these characters.
Well, it didn't start off that way because at first, my last short film, we won 56 awards, and I said, okay, now I'm ready for the feature. So I went to look for a producer. It was Virtual Can during the pandemic, and I was sending it out to producers, and the 10th one caught on. And he liked what he saw. He saw the website I built for the short film. He's like, this guy is going to make a movie no matter what. So he wanted to be a part of it, and he actually offered me to direct a low-budget horror movie. It had like a guy with 3 demon women that he had to defend himself against and attack in the forest, right? $450,000 budget. And I was like, wow, okay. Read the script, did not like it at all. I'm like, this is not me. I cannot work on this. I'm not your guy. But the door was open. And I said, well, why don't I write something else that's more to my sensibilities, but in the same budget range, cast, locations. And in 3 days, I sent him a treatment for something. And then he said, this is pretty good. I said, okay, in 1 month, I'll give you a full-fledged screenplay. And Charles, he did not believe me. But sure enough, 30 days from that moment, I delivered a first draft. And he said, well, this is good enough. Let's develop something. So we formed an LLC together, and for 1 year, I wrote what eventually became The Fetus with 45 drafts that just kept shaping and shaping until it became this thing that you see today. So.
It is such an interesting concept, and I don't want to spoil anything because, guys, you need to go check it out. It's on digital right now, so you can go to Fandango or Amazon or any of the places that offer the digital rentals or purchases. I purchased the film. I've seen it twice, and the concept is pretty unique. I mean, we've seen the possessed baby stories before. We've seen The Omen and those kind of films. This isn't that. It's something. Without spoiling it, it's crazy. It is fucking insane, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I want to get back into your background a little bit. What were some of your who or what were some of your influences coming up? You seem to have a love for the genre. I definitely have a love for the genre. So tell me who influenced you as a kid and a teenager coming up, and who made you want to do what you're doing now?
Oh, yeah, and well, especially in terms of horror. I mean, you're talking about some of the '80s classics.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's when I grew up, and uh, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, The Fly. It's like I love body horror. That to me, it just gets me because it's a lot different when you have a villain who's coming at you with a knife
Yeah.
or some axe or something like that, right? But when the villain becomes a part of you, how do you escape that? Like, right? Or do you assimilate and do you embrace it because it's a part of you now, right? And that's the freaky thing. That's what gets under my skin, pun intended. But yeah, that's why I wanted to tell a story that was along those lines, that kind of subgenre.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. I'm 56 years old, so late 70s, all through the 80s. It was VHS rentals and all that stuff. And The Thing is in my top five favorite horror movies of all time. Um, and so this isn't body horror, but another one that I really love is The Descent. Monsters, and that one was kind of blew me away. But from a writing perspective, you have a very vivid imagination, for sure, and I appreciate that from watching this film. So you said you had 45 iterations of this thing before it came together, right? When you finally sat down and you were able to reach out to some pretty big names in the horror industry, especially Bill Moseley. He's been around the block a few times, worked with Rob Zombie in that trilogy of films. How did it feel when you were able to get those quality caliber of actors to come and work with you on your movie? That had to be a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, he was a top three choice to play Maddox in the movie. And the fact that we sent an offer to his manager, sent the script, literally within 3 hours, he said yes.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
Like
That
he liked it that much. So yeah, pretty happy. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Bill Moseley fan. I rewatched House of a Thousand Corpses last night, and he's amazing at what he does. But we got this new kid on the block, and she kind of made her name. I don't want to call her an overnight sensation because I'm sure she's put in a lot of hard work before that. But when Terrifier 2 hit and Lauren LaVera hit the scene, a lot of people were blown away by her Final Girl performances. So, what was it like getting Lauren on board, and how was she to work with? She seems like a sweetheart. She seems like a charm to work with. But I want to hear from the director. How was Lauren to work with, and what did you think of her?
Well, we went through 7,500 actresses.
Whoo!
Find her, and when she sent in her audition tape, I'm like, yeah. I mean, she shot up right to the top. It wasn't a solid yes yet because I had to go through everybody else, but I was
Right.
like, okay, she's like top three right now. In the end, she just became top one. There was nobody else. She was that good. She was the character. She wasn't trying to find the character in the audition tape. Like she just was full blown emotion just pouring off into the screen, and just working with her, yeah, just total professional.
Well, she played the character Alessa in the film, right?
Mhm.
Alessa,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the absurdity of the things around her. And I'm not saying this in an insulting way because I love absurdity in horror movies, but the absurdity of the things that were happening to her and her character, and how she maintained um, her level of I don't know what word I'm looking for, but she played it. It was her. She was in every moment. Every moment, the emotion was there, and when you have the circumstances happening to her, what was actually coming out of her character's body at times, and I don't want to spoil anything, I'm like, how is she keeping a straight face and keeping that emotion while this shit's going on? Oh man. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you want, I was going to say, if you want to talk about the movie in general terms, again, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but if you can kind of give my listening audience an overview of what it is about, I've been dancing around it a little bit, but if you can give them a little specifics without spoiling, I'd love for them to hear it from you because you did a fantastic job on this.
Oh, thank you. Well, our log line is a young couple get pregnant with a half human, half demonic fetus with a thirst for blood. That's in a nutshell. That's what happens. And of course, you know, insanity ensues because of that.
Well, it's so hard to talk about it without spoiling some things, but just the way that you develop the fetus, and even Lauren's character at the beginning, without spoiling anything, saying she's a little different than everyone else. Uh, it it really blew my mind the first time kind of it kind of hits you over the head. Well, what this really is, especially there's a restroom scene, and you can probably shake your head at this, but when you kind of first saw the craziness, and that's where my jaw dropped. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, this is craziness, but I loved it. I loved every second of it because it was such a unique take. One other character I wanted to touch on was young Maddox, and I looked at the casting, and Evan Towle played young Maddox. I thought he did a great job setting up the film. So, do you want to talk about Evan and how he contributed to setting this whole thing up?
Well, the funny thing is, he was not supposed to be in the opening of the movie.
Ah,
It was different. It was cut up in a different way, where he ended up opening up the movie. Let's put it that way.
okay.
It was not intentional. There are happy accidents that happen. So, but Evan, yeah, I needed someone to play a younger version of Bill Moseley, and I had about maybe a dozen candidates, and I'm like, they all have beards because I asked for that in the submission. I said, we're
Right.
looking for a young Bill Moseley, and I didn't know which one to pick. So I went to Bill and like, Bill, can you help? Like, who would you pick to play your younger version? I like going to the actors, even for wardrobe, to get their input because they're the ones wearing the clothes, or they're the ones that have the most connection to who and how they looked when they were younger. And he said, this guy right here, Evan. I said, okay, well, let me check out, make sure he performs well. And then he sent in his tape, and he did. He was great. And so that's how that came out to be. Bill Moseley pretty much handpicked Evan Towle for the role.
Wow, that's an honor actually. Have Bill Moseley pick you out to be a younger him. That's pretty awesome. I want to talk about this other guy, and I called him, and I saw this later, but I thought it first before I saw it, so I didn't steal it because I did think it. I wrote the note down. Casey Affleck's doppelganger. Um, yeah, and
Yeah.
when I first saw the movie, I said, "Is this Casey Affleck? Did he get Casey Affleck?" And then I looked at the cast, and I was like, "No, that's not Casey." But tell me a little bit about Julian Curtis, who played Chris. I thought he did a fantastic job. But yeah, if you watch the film, you guys may think he's Casey Affleck, but he's not.
Julie Kurtz was great because I really needed someone who could pull off dramatic and comedy
Yeah.
with a straight face.
Yep.
Okay, like I narrowed him down from, I think it was like 5 actors, but the thing is, the other 4 actors, they were all serious, super serious. They actually, when they performed, they didn't get the comedy in it.
Oh.
And for me, I was like, the only one who gets it is Julian. Like that's
Yeah.
it, and like, and it's how do you explain like to somebody if you have to read between the lines, like this is supposed to be funny, even though you're being serious. That's a hard thing to explain if you don't pick it up intuitively and play it that way. But he just knew it and he got it, and so it was really easy working with him. And it's just certain lines that he's like, he would have to ask me like, how do you think I can make this work? I want to make it work because sometimes I'm like, this line is just too weird, like it's just too outlandish. Like I say, just drop it. He's like, no, let me try to make it work, And then he would, and I'm like, okay, great. So we'll keep it.
Well, yeah, I thought he did an amazing job, and I think he and Lauren had some pretty good chemistry with one another. So, take me through that process a little bit when you're casting actors and you kind of screen test them. Do you put them? And I don't know anything about filmmaking. I'm a low budget horror indie author that writes small town horror, but from your perspective, when you're casting folks and screen testing, do you actually put them together and bounce them off one another during the casting process? I'm just interested in that.
I'm trying to remember if I actually put them both on a Zoom because we brought on Bill and then Lauren, and then Julian was the third. I did it in that order because really I wanted a veteran who had a long following. You get a younger actor, they don't have as much of a following. But then I got Lauren next because the intensity, the craziness that actors had to go through, and then with Julian, it was really I just wanted to make sure that they looked believable as a couple. Besides him nailing the drama and the comedy, if they didn't look like they were an actual couple, then forget it. This doesn't work. The magic trick is gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the special effects in the movie I thought were really, really well done. You have, a lot of practical effects, and I sense there was some CGI, but I love the practical effects, and I don't want to get into too much of the Fetus. And I know you put something out there recently about some color grading or something with the film, and you re-uploaded it. Um, I don't know which version I watched, but I watched it twice, and watched it again last night. So I didn't, nothing jumped out to me that looked bad. Uh, but anyway, yeah. Can you talk about the special effects and what you guys went through to put this together from a practical or a digital perspective?
Yeah, and I'll share with your listeners that if the listeners have seen it and they see the flaws with some of the effects work, a lot of that is going to be hidden with this new upgrade that is happening. So it's actually being sent out tonight. It's going to be updated because it was just too bright. The second half of the movie was too bright. So
Okay.
we're taking it down. It hides a lot of like the seams that you would see, like a magician, the strings and all these things, And it's darker, it's moodier. I feel it a lot more with this version that's going out versus
Okay.
what's currently out there. So, but that being said, yeah, it was important for us to do practical effects. We had a two-time award-winning special effects makeup artist in Colombia. He won it for the equivalent of the Oscars in his country.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he designed and built probably like 90% of everything. And we actually had to fly to Colombia and pick it up twice and bring it over here. Everything had green sticks, so it was we had puppeteers on set, 2 of them. They had to work all the various different stages because the fetus grows from a small
Yes.
size to a larger size.
Yes, it does.
And yeah, and it was, I've never worked with practical effects before. I've never worked with visual effects before. So this was a double whammy for me to do these kind of things. And we had to go into a green screen studio to do some of the impossible things that you see in the movie. A
Right.
lot of people, they just buy into it, and they just accept it for what it is. So I guess, it works for the most part. We do have a couple people that don't like it. But again, I think once this updated version is there, I think they will not be able to see the seams anymore.
Well, I'm gonna watch it a third time. I mean, I didn't sit and watch the movie looking for flaws. I just enjoyed the film, and I thought it was great. The version I watched was great, but I'll check it out when the darker, dimmer back half comes out too. I'll check it out a third time and see what happens. But you had a little veteran of practical effects. Not that she does them personally or is a practical effect makeup artist, but Lauren's been on a couple of Terrifier sets where it's full of practical effects. That's all they use. So. I know that she knew what was happening as you guys were working, so that's a plus. Um, I do want to ask you about some of the challenges you faced making the film. Some things you may or may not want to share. If you want to share them, awesome. But what kind of challenges did you face when you were putting this together and finally going into production?
Everything was a challenge. I mean, it's just the main thing to focus on is to prepare as much as possible. I mean, I spent I think it was 5 months in pre-production just getting ready for this, and I'm very hands-on, so I'm involved in just almost every department. Sometimes even just making the props. If we don't have a prop, we didn't have a prop person come on until 5 weeks before, but I was literally designing a brochure that's in the hospital, making the demon book and things like that. Just sourcing them, where to buy certain things on Amazon. But it's just, I think some of the nerve-wracking things were, how are we going to pull off some of these set design, practical, and visual effects that we couldn't afford a visual effects person because literally, I mean, Charles, I met with visual effects people. One guy in the U.S. said our budget was $8,000 for the visual effects. Okay, he said, "Oh, I could do 2 shots for that." We had 65 shots. 65 shots, and this guy told me
Jesus.
he'll do 2. It ended up being 200 shots that we had to do something, and sometimes they're actually just fixing. Well, there's a boom in the shot, so we have to erase it, right? Little things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But some of it I had to do myself, like do Photoshop, like frame by frame painting, or I had to just farm it out to people around the country, around the world, actually, not the country, around the world, so the money would go further
Yeah.
as a result. And of course, that $8,000 budget, like we blew through that, and I had to just put more money into the movie
Oh, wow.
to make up for it. So, but yeah, but I'm pretty happy with overall the results, and it sounds like a lot of people are too. And some people are watching it like I've heard people watch it like yourself, like 3 times, 5 times, 9 times, 17 times. I'm like, how do you make the time to watch a movie that much? It's like it's wild. So I'm glad people are enjoying it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I saw the Instagram and the social media posts, and I saw it was available on Fandango. I said purchase, watched it, liked it, reached out to the Fetus Film on Instagram, and I don't know if you actually managed that, but whoever does reached out to you and connected us. So I'm so glad they did, because I'm enjoying this conversation for sure. The concept of the half human, half demon, uh, where did that come from? It's a like I said, it's the possessed baby's been done before, but this is different. This isn't the same. So, how did you come up with that particular idea? What drove that for you?
It was if there's something growing inside of you that you do not want. You're like, get this thing out of me. I didn't ask for it. I didn't, I was using protection, let's say.
Uh,
And
yeah,
it's
sorta.
unexpected, but it's not. It's more than just a regular fetus, and that's the crazy or scary part, because it's not just an unplanned, unexpected pregnancy. It's just something far worse because it's coming out and it's doing something you don't want it to be doing. And I thought about like, but what if it could cause you to change your mind and go, wait a second, this thing that's like got this violent nature to it. Like maybe I could accept it. What
Yeah,
I wanted to see that change and shift in a couple that would come to grips and say maybe this could be a good thing.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, you did. Yeah, I mean, you did. And again, don't want to spoil anything, guys. Go watch The Fetus. It's pretty fucking awesome. You can pick it up on Fandango, Amazon, a bunch of streaming platforms where you can purchase it. I purchased it. Is it available to rent? I didn't even pay attention. I just hit
it's
buy.
rent and buy. You usually at $3.99, $4.99 to rent, and maybe like $9.99 or $10.99
Yeah,
to buy.
something like that. Yeah, for sure. Um, Now I see the T-shirt you have on, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have a website called thefetusfilm.com. Uh, is any of this merchandise going to be available, or is it available to purchase for
It is
folks?
available, yeah. Like, and we go to horror conventions. We'll do about 8 horror conventions a year. And so, if your listeners go to thefetusmerch.com, that's thefetusmerch.com, you can get signed posters, T-shirts, mugs with Lauren or Bill's face on there. Some of the other actors' faces on there. And we do have. I will mention this because we're talking about merch right now. So I don't know if you know, but I have this book that I wrote on the making of the
Ah,
movie.
nice.
It's a
That's awesome.
318-page book, and there's like sketches in here. There's behind the scenes photos. It's literally from beginning to end. It's a 5-year journey for this movie, Charles,
Nice.
from development all the way to releasing the movie. And I wanted to commemorate my first movie with something like this. So this says, "Delivering the Fetus: How to Make a Killer Low-Budget Horror Film with Practical Effects." So
Nice. Nice.
yeah, so
Thefetusmerch.com. I'll put links below to everything for sure.
Yeah. The only thing is the book. We're doing a book launch on October 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
And we're always doing giveaways as well, so we might tie it in with a giveaway too.
Gotcha. This podcast will air on October 10th. We have the beautiful and talented Alice Winkler premiering on October 3rd, which you have already watched when you see this, but this will be on October 10th. But we'll make sure that we put all the links below for sure. Now, I want to ask, because I'm a physical media guy, I got a shit ton of DVDs and Blu-rays over here. Are we going to see the light of day on a physical release for the
Of
Fetus?
course.
All
Of
right.
course. Two of them.
Two of them. Oh, when are we going to see that?
Well, we're planning for a Christmas release
Okay.
with just the standard DVD,
Okay.
and I'm planning to have the DVD cover match the book,
Ah,
so it
nice.
feel like a set. And then we're gonna have the special edition,
Okay.
which you can have all the bells and whistles. I'll put in there our Kickstarter video, the band To Die For, the music video that's official for the Fetus, and a documentary. We're going to have about either a 45-minute or a 60-minute documentary that will be included in there, and just a bunch of other things.
Well, that's awesome, man. I look forward to that. I love collecting DVDs and Blu-rays, and I really love supporting independent horror. I have lots of folks from that world on the podcast, and a lot of times those are the most enjoyable because you don't have a big studio breathing down your neck to do this or do that. You do it your way. So that's what I love about it. That's why I love what Damien did with the Terrifier franchise. The first one was really good. The second one I think is my favorite. The third one went batshit crazy. So I don't know how he's going to end that thing, but I kind of love indie horror, and I love it when indie horror succeeds. And we need people like you out there for sure. And who knows, man? Maybe you'll get that $20 million, $50 million, $100 million budget in the not too distant future to really go fucking crazy.
That would be amazing. So, but yeah, you're right about in terms of like we get to do what we want, because even distributors, they were saying, oh, we'd have to change the name to Fetus because Walmart is not going to accept the DVDs. And I thought about it, and I was like, now Charles, let's say you have a kid, right?
Yeah.
Your kid's name is Bobby, and then you want to send him to a certain school, and the school's like, well, we don't accept Bobbies. We don't accept the kid with name Bobby. He's going to have to change his name. Are you going to change his name?
Absolutely not.
Well, yeah. Well, there you go. And I was like, look, I said, okay, it's fine. Walmart doesn't want us. Forget it. Fine.
You see some of the shitty stuff Walmart sells. Why do they give a damn what their DVD name is? Anyway, I digress.
But you never know. I've been banned for life on Etsy because of this.
Get out of here! Seriously?
I put up T-shirts and mugs, which it just said the Fetus. 2 weeks later, permanent ban.
Get out of here!
I couldn't even appeal. They said you have 6 months to appeal. I would keep submitting, and they wouldn't even accept it. It wouldn't go through.
Wow.
It's just
wow.
Yeah. There's other stories.
Yeah. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So before we get to the close of the podcast, what is in your future? What can we see coming down the pike for Joe Lamb? I know we've got the Fetus and we've got everything coming out at the end of the year. We're going to have a deluxe DVD and all that stuff. But after the Fetus, what are you looking at? What kind of projects are you looking to do or are working on?
We're going to have more like fun merch related to the Fetus.
Okay.
I can't say what it is, but something I'm planning to work on next year it's a fun thing that brings people together.
Okay.
Okay?
The Fetus Monopoly game. Got it. Okay. Just kidding.
Close. You're touching on... Yeah. But I'm thinking of a sequel, but it would only happen if enough people watch the Fetus, this movie.
Right. Gotcha.
If I can't make the money back for our investors who trusted us to make this movie, I don't know how I raise the money for the next one.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where we're at, But I am dedicated. I'm pretty much gonna keep at it, keep promoting until it happens. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But if your listeners watch it, they enjoy it, and if they share it, it'll happen faster.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Well, Joe, it was great having you on the program today. I tend to ramble on these things. It's a very informal podcast, and sometimes I talk too much. But what I do want to do, and you've kind of already done it, but we're going to recap it anyways. I want you to go ahead and plug anything you want to plug. I'm going to put links below. Tell our listeners where we can find all your stuff. I'm going to put the merch link down below. But anything you want to share, how they can follow you, how they can support your effort, fire away.
You want to buy any merch, go to thefetusmerch.com. You can watch The Fetus on Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV, almost a dozen platforms right now for buy or rent only. If you're interested in the book, we are going to put up the website. It's deliveringthefetusbook.com. And by this time, it should be live for your listeners, October 10th. And our Instagram, or any of our socials, at The Fetus Film. So that's at The Fetus Film. Facebook, TikTok. I think we have X.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being on the program. I am Charles Campbell, your small town horror author. My latest release is called Three Knocks. The cover was done by the fantastic John Stoney Cannon, who has a book of his own that just came out. It's called VHS, a horror story. So check that out. But John Stoney Cannon did the cover. I'm responsible for the content. So if you don't like it, it's my fault, not John's. But you can go to valleywoodpublications.com and check it out, along with all of my other books, and you can find all my social media links there. Joe, thank you again for being on the program. It was such an honor and a joy to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. So this was fun.
Yeah, it was. And we'll see you next time on Horror 421, the podcast. Peace.